The galaxy had known the rumble of the Krallic armadas for centuries. Their name alone was enough to turn skies dark with despair. Planets, one after the other, had fallen into the shadows of their empire. No race had been able to withstand their might. In the midst of this relentless conquest, humanity quietly forged its own path among the stars, unnoticed by the Krallic horde. Captain Elijah Reed, with a reputation that preceded him even in the vastness of space, stood aboard the command deck of the human flagship Resolute. The weight of his new orders anchored him firmly to the ground, a mission to defend an Alliance outpost on the fringe of contested space. It was a strategic location, critical for the survival of the fledgling human territories and the remnants of alien civilizations that sought refuge under their protection. The outpost was a motley assembly of structures, a testament to the cooperation between species who had never intended to mingle, united only by their common foe. The Krallic threat loomed large, but the small bastion of diverse beings was not yet ready to let the night fall without a fight. Captain Reed's arrival was met with skepticism. His crew, a mix of humans and alien allies, watched his every move with bated breath. The captain, known for his unorthodox methods, immediately set to work. He walked the lines, meeting with every defender, learning names and faces, instilling a sense of urgency and camaraderie that the outpost had not seen before. He had a plan, one born out of necessity and the unique adaptability that humanity was known for. It was a plan that required every set of hands, every will, every heart in the outpost to be as one. Reed rallied his new command, his voice cutting through the despair. "We are not just defending this outpost, we are holding the line for our very survival." The people of the outpost, both human and alien, began to move with purpose. Under Reed's guidance, they fortified their position, repurposed technology, and set up defenses that blended the best of their combined knowledge. The captain's confidence was infectious, and for the first time, the outpost dared to believe that they could be more than just the next footnote in the Krallic's path of destruction. As the first scout ships of the Krallic horde blinked into existence on the edge of the system, the outpost stood ready, a silent sentinel in the cold vastness of space. The battle for the outpost was about to begin, and with it, the first real challenge to the terror that had gripped the galaxy for so long. Captain Elijah Reed paced the control room, a steel fortress embedded within the core of the outpost. The room buzzed with an urgency reflective of the impending siege. Screens projected the expanse of space, dotted with the approaching Krallic fleet. Their arrival was like the onset of a storm, slow but inevitably catastrophic. The outpost, known as Haven, was home to survivors of 100 worlds. Each refugee brought tales of Krallic brutality and destruction. Reed listened to their stories, their voices laced with defeat. But where they saw the end, Reed saw opportunity. Haven's population was diverse. Their experiences and technologies, while disparate, could provide an edge in the upcoming conflict. Reed's plan was as unyielding as the outpost's walls. He called upon the expertise of the inhabitants, engineers, tacticians, and fighters from across the galaxy. Each alien race contributed, their unique abilities and technologies interwoven into a cohesive defense strategy under Reed's guidance. Training commenced with relentless rigor. Reed led from the front, demonstrating human combat techniques adapted to the varied physiologies of his new command. His leadership style was unconventional, personable yet commanding, drawing strength from diversity rather than demanding uniformity. As preparations continued, Reed formed specialized units. A team of Tuvok engineers enhanced the outpost's shield generators, employing advanced algorithms from their homeworld. Aquid scouts, beings accustomed to the deepest oceanic pressures, fortified the outpost's lower levels, exploiting their natural resilience. Meanwhile, Reed established a command unit, an assembly of the finest minds he could find among the refugees. They worked tirelessly, forging a neural network of communication that turned the outpost into a singular, responsive organism. As the Krallic ships drew closer, tension mounted. Reed addressed the defenders, not as separate races, but as a unified force. "You've all seen what the Krallic can do," he stated firmly. "But they haven't seen what we can do, what we can be when we stand together. Today, we don't just fight for Haven, we fight for the future, a future where fear does not dictate our fate." The day of reckoning arrived with the dark silhouette of Krallic dreadnoughts blotting out the stars. The once cowed residents of Haven now stood shoulder to shoulder, their postures not of resignation, but of defiance. The outpost's defenses, a patchwork of alien innovation bolstered by human strategy, bristled with readiness. Reed's command echoed through the compound, initiating a flurry of coordinated responses. Energy shields flared to life, weapon systems hummed with power, and the air crackled with collective resolve. As the first Krallic warships entered firing range, Haven unleashed its fury. A barrage of energy pulses met the invaders, signaling the start of a battle that would be sung about in the far corners of this galaxy. The Krallic, so used to the ease of conquest, found themselves mired in a fight unlike any they had faced before. Reed, monitoring the battle from the heart of Haven, adjusted tactics with each passing moment, his commands a lifeline for every fighter on the line. This was the first stand, the inaugural defiance in the face of the galaxy's terror. Haven was the unlikely sentinel, a beacon of unity and resistance, led by a human who refused to bow to the darkness. The battle for Haven was not just a fight for survival, but a declaration that even the greatest of terrors could be challenged. The defense of Haven had proven to be more formidable than the Krallic horde had anticipated. From his command center, a repurposed chamber deep within the outpost, Captain Reed surveyed the holographic display. The aftermath of the first clash hung like a specter over the besieged outpost. Wreckage from Krallic fighters drifted in the silence of space, a grim reminder of the battle's intensity. The Krallic were regrouping, their movements a dark waltz of ships against the backdrop of stars. Reed knew the respite would be short-lived. The horde's pride was wounded. Their next assault would be relentless. He called his commanders to action, their faces a mosaic of the galaxy's diversity, each set with determination steeled by the first victory. Reed's strategy had been simple, yet effective. Rather than confront the Krallic fleet head-on, Haven's defenders utilized hit-and-run tactics, leveraging the outpost's array of hidden defense turrets and the agile fighter crafts piloted by a squadron of human and alien aces. Despite their successes, resources were finite. Reed addressed this with characteristic ingenuity. Engineers repurposed Krallic technology salvaged from the battlefield, integrating it into Haven's defense grid. Scientists from the Calypsan race harnessed their knowledge of energy fields to bolster the outpost's shields with a frequency modulation that disrupted Krallic targeting systems. As the Krallic shadows gathered for their second wave, Reed deepened his bonds with the outpost's inhabitants. He joined them in the mess halls, listened to their fears, shared their grief for lost worlds, and stoked the fires of their resolve. "We've shown them we can bite," he would say. "Now let's show them we can devour." Training drills became more intense, focusing on unit cohesion and the integration of mixed-species tactics. A team of Vron warriors, beings of incredible strength, were paired with human demolition experts to form breaching teams capable of repelling borders. Meanwhile, Yolari mystics, sensitive to the flow of energy, worked to counter the psionic attacks the Krallic sorcerers were known to employ. Reed's leadership transformed the outpost into a living stronghold, its heartbeat synchronized with the drum of war. As the Krallic armada amassed beyond the reach of Haven's sensors, Reed instilled a clear message. "Let them come with their darkness. Together we will shape it into light." The waiting was the hardest part, the anticipation a cruel prelude to the storm. When the Krallic finally descended upon Haven again, it was with the fury of a tempest. But Reed and his united front met them head-on. The outpost, once a place of refuge, had become an anvil upon which the fate of the galaxy would be forged. The second battle for Haven had begun, and with it, the chance to prove that the first victory was no fluke of fortune. Under the command of Captain Elijah Reed, Haven had become a stalwart symbol of defiance. With each passing hour, the outpost's defenders fine-tuned their unity, a heterogeneous force functioning as a single entity. As the Krallic horde regrouped, the silhouette of their formidable warships cast a palpable shadow over Haven's fortifications. The calm before the storm ended with the first salvo from the Krallic armada, a violent barrage intended to overwhelm. The outpost's response was immediate. Shields flared under the impact, dispersing the energy across the newly integrated Calypsan grid. Reed's voice remained calm over the comm channels. "Steady, Haven. Hold the line." As the bombardment continued, Reed deployed Haven's unique squadron of fighters. The human-piloted Vipers weaved between the behemoths of the Krallic fleet, their agility unmatched. The Vron warriors stood ready to repel boarders, their immense strength a counter to the feared Krallic berserkers. The outpost's diversified arsenal proved to be a thorn in the horde's side. Energy projectiles, ballistic weapons, and repurposed Krallic cannons fired in a symphony of destruction orchestrated by Reed's strategic acumen. Every time the Krallic adapted, Haven altered its tactics, remaining unpredictable. The battle escalated as the Kralik, frustrated by their lack of progress, dispatched their elite sorcerers. Twisted energies arced toward Haven, seeking to sow chaos. But the Yolari mystics, guided by their deep connection to the cosmic flows, wove a protective veil. Their countermeasures not only nullified the sorceress onslaught, but also sent feedback that wreaked havoc on the Kralik mages. Amidst the conflict, Reed remained a pillar of resolve. He understood this was more than a physical battle. It was a clash of wills. The Kralik horde, the terror of the galaxy, faced a resistance unlike any other, fueled by the very essence of human perseverance and the combined strength of countless races. Reed took a calculated risk, sending a contingent of Vipers on a daring mission to target the Kralik command ship. If the head could be severed, the body would flounder. As the fighters pierced the enemy formation, the tide of the battle hung in the balance. The gamble paid off. The Vipers, executing a maneuver that would become legendary, delivered a crippling blow to the command ship, sending it adrift. The sight of their flagship faltering sowed doubt among the Kralik forces. Back at Haven, cheers erupted from the defenders as they witnessed the enemy's falter. The Kralik fleet, now leaderless, descended into disarray. Reed seized the moment, ordering a full barrage against the invaders. What began as a calculated defense became an all-out offensive. As the battle drew to a close, the Kralik fleet, once a harbinger of doom, retreated in disarray, their aura of invincibility shattered. The outpost had not only survived but triumphed, proving that the collective will of its defenders was unbreakable. Reed had transformed the terror of the galaxy into a harried fugitive from an outpost of the brave. Haven was no longer a mere speck on the cosmic map. It was the beacon where the darkness had been held at bay. In the wake of Haven's improbable stand, news of the outpost's victory rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. Captain Reed's strategy and the outpost's resistance became a legend that inspired both awe and a burgeoning sense of rebellion among subjugated worlds. The Kralik horde, once the unchallenged predator of the cosmos, now faced an enemy they could neither predict nor overpower. Captain Reed, understanding the psychological impact of their triumph, wasted no time. He initiated a series of broadcasts across the galaxy, using captured Kralik communication channels. "The horde can be beaten," he declared. "Haven stands proof. What we've done here, you can do too. Unite, fight, and reclaim your freedom." The response was immediate and electrifying. Systems under the yoke of the Kralik began to coordinate, utilizing the very tactics that had proven effective at Haven. Spontaneous uprisings erupted, challenging the Kralik garrisons. The once silent night of the galaxy began to echo with the cries of revolution. At the heart of this galactic shift was the human factor, ingenuity and an indomitable spirit that refused to submit. Reed, leveraging this momentum, organized a coalition of alien races to share knowledge, tactics, and technology. Haven transformed from a defensive outpost into a strategic hub for the burgeoning alliance. Training camps sprang up, instructed by veterans of Haven's battle. Human drill sergeants worked alongside alien tacticians, creating hybrid units specialized in anti-Kralik warfare. The Kraliks, finding themselves fighting on multiple fronts, struggled to adapt to the guerrilla tactics now employed galaxy-wide. Reed's message of unity resonated deeply with the oppressed, breathing life into the old adage that the galaxy's diversity was its greatest strength. He worked tirelessly, forming strategic pacts, solidifying alliances, and nurturing the seeds of resistance that had been sown by Haven's stand. This chapter of the galactic struggle was marked by hope and resurgence. Captain Reed had become more than a military leader. He was a symbol of the fight for freedom. The fear that had once gripped the hearts of the galaxy's denizens was being replaced by something far more powerful, a belief in victory. As skirmishes turned into battles and battles into campaigns, the Kralik horde found themselves contested at every turn. The terror they had wielded so effectively was now being turned against them, their invincibility a myth undone by the collective will of a galaxy united. It was humanity, with Captain Reed at its vanguard, that had lit this flame of insurrection, a flame that now threatened to engulf the Kralik Empire. The tide of war had shifted, and the Kralik horde, once deemed invincible, now contended with a galaxy ignited. News of the horde's retreats and defeats, thanks to the strategies birthed at Haven, had sparked unprecedented unity among the stars. Captain Reed, aware that momentum was everything, channeled the surge of rebellion into a focused, galaxy-wide resistance. In the war rooms of Haven, now the heart of the resistance, a council of representatives from myriad worlds convened. Together, they formed a formidable alliance, with Reed as its leader, not through conquest, but by the unanimous trust of its members. The varied species brought their own strengths. The Solarian's stealth, the Juker's firepower, the Avian's speed, all were woven into a cohesive force by human adaptability and innovative spirit. The first task was to consolidate the insurgent planets into a network of mutual defense and support. Havens of their own sprang up, modeled after the outpost that had started it all. Reed directed the flow of resources and intelligence between these points, creating a web that the Kralik found increasingly difficult to unravel. New fronts opened as once oppressed systems began to rebel, bolstered by the support of their newfound allies. A notable victory came when a combined fleet, led by a human captain and an avian admiral, liberated the system of Rigel. It sent a clear message. The Alliance was not just surviving, it was reclaiming. Meanwhile, on the fringes of Kralik space, secret missions disrupted supply lines and isolated key outposts. Reed had orchestrated a strategy of attrition, draining the Horde's resources and morale. These missions, often perilous, were voluntary, but there was no shortage of volunteers. The Alliance had something the Horde could never understand: hope. Back at Haven, training for the combined forces continued. Reed's insistence on interspecies teams fostered a sense of kinship among the soldiers. Humans and aliens fought not just alongside each other, but as brothers and sisters in arms. Reed often walked among them, his presence a reminder of the unity that their diverse backgrounds had created. As the campaign expanded, so did Reed's legend. Tales of his bravery and strategic genius spread from soldier to soldier, world to world, inspiring those who fought and those yet to join the fray. Yet he remained focused, always looking to the next objective, the next victory. The Kralik Horde was now on the defensive, their reign of terror being dismantled by an alliance that owed its existence to humanity's intervention. The narrative had changed. The Kralik were no longer the hunters, but the hunted. In this burgeoning age of alliance, the galaxy had found not just a common enemy, but a common cause, with humanity and Captain Reed at the forefront of this unprecedented unity. As the alliance strengthened and expanded under Captain Reed's leadership, the once formidable Kralik Horde found themselves retreating across multiple fronts. The galaxy, uniting under a banner of resilience and shared destiny, was ready to press their advantage. Reed, strategic and ever vigilant, planned a series of decisive strikes that would shift the balance of power permanently. The central objective was the Kralik stronghold in the Orion system, a heavily fortified sector that served as a logistical hub for the Horde's operations. Capturing it would severely cripple their ability to wage war and signal the beginning of their end. Reed called upon his most trusted commanders, forming a task force of the best ships and crews from across the Alliance. The operation began with a feint, drawing the Kralik fleet away from Orion using a diversionary attack by the agile avian squadrons. As the Kralik pursued what they thought was the main strike force, Reed deployed the bulk of his fleet directly into the Orion system. The battle that ensued was fierce and fraught with peril. Human engineers, along with their Solarian counterparts, had developed a new type of disruptive technology specifically for this battle. It targeted the Kralik's communication arrays, sowing confusion and disarray within their ranks. As the Kralik struggled to regroup, the Alliance forces, led personally by Reed, made their move. Ground forces, including human marine units and Vron shock troops, stormed the Kralik planetary bases. The fighting was brutal, but the well-coordinated assault overwhelmed the Kralik defenses. Reed, ever the tactician, used every piece of intelligence and every strategy at his disposal to ensure the success of the ground operations. Meanwhile, in space, the Alliance fleet engaged the Kralik reinforcements, rushing back to defend their stronghold. The battle raged against the backdrop of Orion's nebulae, a tapestry of light and color that contrasted starkly with the dark violence of war. Reed's flagship led the charge, breaking through the Kralik lines and delivering a crippling blow to their command ship. The victory at Orion was a turning point. News of the stronghold's fall spread like wildfire, boosting the morale of the Alliance and demoralizing the Kralik forces. Planets under Kralik control began to revolt, bolstered by the prospect of liberation, and the galaxy's citizens now saw the end of the Horde's tyranny within reach. Reed's strategy had not only succeeded in dismantling a key Kralik bastion, but also demonstrated the effective unity and combined might of the Alliance. The battle became a testament to what could be achieved when diverse civilizations stood together against a common foe. As the smoke cleared, Reed addressed his troops and the galaxy. His message was one of cautious optimism. "Today, we have struck a blow that will echo through the annals of history," he declared. "But our fight does not end here. We must continue to stand together, for only united can we finish what we have so bravely started." The Kralik, now reeling from their losses, were on the defensive, and the Alliance, emboldened by their success, prepared for the final campaigns. The stage was set for the ultimate confrontation, and under Reed's steady command, the Alliance moved forward, closer than ever to achieving a lasting peace. The final campaign loomed as the Alliance prepared to deliver the decisive blow to the Kralik horde. Captain Elijah Reed, whose strategic brilliance had orchestrated the downfall of numerous Kralik strongholds, now focused on the ultimate target: the Kralik homeworld, Karax. It was the heart of their empire and the symbol of their once unchallenged dominion. The plan was meticulously crafted, combining all elements of the Alliance's military prowess. Space fleets would engage in orbital battles to neutralize the Kralik armada, while ground forces prepared for a massive landing operation. The stakes were higher than ever, but so was the morale and unity of Reed's forces. As the Alliance fleet approached Karax, the Kralik unleashed their full fury. Space around the planet erupted into chaos, a storm of laser fire and explosions. Reed, commanding from his flagship, navigated the battlefield with calm precision. He directed the fleet, coordinating with squadron leaders and adapting to the ever-changing dynamics of battle. Meanwhile, the ground assault teams, composed of elite units from multiple races, readied themselves in dropships. Humans, Vron, and Solarians, among others, stood shoulder to shoulder, united by a common cause and a deep trust in each other, fostered by years of shared battles. The orbital defenses of Karax were formidable, but the Alliance's disruptive technologies, refined through continuous combat, began to turn the tide. The Kralik communication arrays were jammed, leaving their ships disorganized and vulnerable. Taking advantage of the confusion, Reed ordered a full-scale assault. Dropships descended through the atmosphere, weaving through anti-air fire. The ground battle was intense, with Alliance troops pushing forward against well-entrenched Kralik forces. Every step was hard-fought, every inch of ground earned with valor. Reed's strategy involved a series of coordinated strikes on key infrastructure points, crippling the Kralik's ability to resupply and reinforce their positions. This strategy, combined with the relentless push of the ground forces, slowly but surely began to break the Kralik resistance. After days of fierce fighting, the Alliance forces reached the capital. The final battle was brutal, but the momentum was unmistakably with Reed and his allies. The Kralik leaders, seeing the inevitable, finally surrendered, marking the end of their reign of terror. The victory was celebrated across the galaxy. The Kralik homeworld, under new governance, promised a future of peace and integration within the Alliance. Reed, hailed as a hero and a visionary, stood before the assembled forces of the Alliance on Karax. His speech was broadcasted to every corner of the galaxy, a message of hope and unity. "Today, we close a dark chapter in our history," Reed proclaimed. "Let this victory not just be about the fall of a tyrant, but the rise of a new era. Together, we have reshaped our galaxy. Let us continue to build on this foundation, a galaxy of freedom, peace, and prosperity for all." As peace settled over the galaxy, Reed's vision of a united cosmos began to take shape. New alliances were formed, old grievances healed, and the horrors of the Kralik domination faded into memory. Humanity, once a newcomer to the galactic stage, had proven itself a beacon of hope and a force for good. The dawn of valor was not just the end of the war, it was the beginning of a new legacy for all civilizations under the Alliance, a testament to what can be achieved when diverse peoples unite under a common cause.